Hello, Yoann. It's good to have you here. You have founded Snowball.xyz, which is probably one of the biggest newsletter in France about personal financing. Personal financing in a way that it doesn't mean that you giving like stock market advices and stuff like that, but more how do you how can you use the money that is slipping into your accounts in a very clever way, probably?
Mhm. Yeah, trying. Yeah.
And so yeah, that's pretty much. And then what is quite amazing is that, am I wrong if I say that it's probably the biggest newsletter in France?
Okay, it's one of the biggest. It's not the biggest. Yeah, I mean, in this specific topic about personal finance, so I believe it's one of the biggest. I mean, there are bigger ones, but they're much older. Marc Fiorentino, who's not an old journalist, but he's like 55 or 60, and so he's got a newsletter which is bigger, but he's been writing it for like years. I mean, 20 years, I think, or something like that. So it's different level.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it's one of the biggest. It was the biggest on Substack when we were on Substack, but since we moved like to our own platform, I don't know. But like 1 year ago, it was the biggest one about personal finance on Substack. Yeah.
that is cool. How long have you been doing Snowball for?
So it's been like more than 5 years now. March 2020. So yeah, like almost. I mean, not yeah. It's gonna be 6 years next March. So yeah,
Ah,
that's a
that's
long
good.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so a lot of questions
Mhm.
about Snowball itself. Like, first is you how many subscriber do you have right now? Do you have an idea of the
So
exact
yeah.
number?
So right now it's like 70K. I mean 71 today actually. Uh, I mean 71K free subscribers, and among them around, yeah, 3,500 are paid subscribers. Mm, Like
Okay,
yeah, or
3,500 paying
4K.
subscriber,
Yeah, something
almost
like
4K, and 75,000.
71. So 71K
Right.
free subscribers. I mean, free and paid. So yeah, it's in total.
Oh, that's cool. Wow, great. It's a lot of people who are reading what you write, and then for 6 years, you're sharing one newsletter per week.
Mm. More than that, but yeah, one free newsletter per week. So every Tuesday night there is a free newsletter. Every Sunday night I write another one for the paid subscribers, and every weekday, so from Monday till Friday, I write like a daily newsletter for free and paid subscribers. Very short one, but still, it's a lot of content. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then, like, how long? Sorry, the question are a bit robotics because I want to understand the context before we go into your story. But like, how long have you been living it from?
Well, actually, so in March 2020, I was still the CMO of Comet. So yeah, so I quit in August after launching the paid version in April. So like, yeah, almost like 1 month later, I launched the paid version. There was some traction, and I was like, okay, that's something I want to dedicate my time to. So in August, I quit. I had like 1 year of chômage, so
Yeah,
the
unemployment. Yeah, kind of.
unemployment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I was able to leave from Snowball. So, but I could actually from like December of 2020, so like 6 or 7 months later, I could have been living from this newsletter. So yeah, it was quite fast.
quite fast. And that's the thing, like, that amazed me is that if you would have to pick a topic, like when you are from the tech industry, like you were, doing the marketing for tech companies, like
Mm-mm.
you have plenty of subject to pick. And then it feels like the newsletter is probably not the best, like, vehicle
Ah,
to make money.
the medium, yeah. Uh, yeah, that's a good question. I think the first thing, I mean, when you are a creator, or, I mean, creator is like when you're creating whatever you're doing, if you're an entrepreneur or like a writer or a tech person trying to sell a product or whatever, if you want to create content about whatever you're doing, you have to think first about what you like doing. So some people, they prefer like talking, so podcast or video is like probably a better medium than writing a newsletter. So for like, I prefer to write, so it was like, I mean, natural choice to pick the newsletter one. And also, so that's the first filter. And the second one, I think, is when you choose a medium like YouTube or Apple Podcast or whatever, or just TikTok or Instagram. I mean, you don't really own the the mailing list, so that's why. I mean, whichever content you're doing, having a newsletter is like a great thing to have, because then you can, I don't know, monetize or whatever, communicate more easily with your audience. So that was the two main reasons I picked the newsletter, I think.
It's true that newsletter is the only medium that allows you to know who are you writing to, because
Mm-mm.
obviously they subscribe to it, so you have email list and stuff. So exactly, like when you do a podcast on YouTube or Spotify or wherever, then you don't know pretty much about anything about people who
Yeah,
are.
no, podcast is the worst, I think. I mean, YouTube, it's a bit better in terms of analytics and stuff the platform is giving you, but it's not great. But yeah, mailing is, I mean, it's one of the best medium, I think, to know your audience. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I haven't thought about that this way. And what about like you mentioned the analytics? So it means that you created right away a discussion with the first subscribers, or how did you grow? Because that one thing when you create communities like podcasts or anything, I'm right in the middle of it. Is like you never know what people likes or dislike, even if there are like analytics on YouTube. You
Yeah.
don't know why, like, that this kind of content hasn't made, anything special to your audience, but
Mm-mm.
you never know what would have be better, to produce. So how probably like having a shorter, having emails of the people who subscribe is a
Mm-mm.
good opportunity to like ping them and ask them, hey, how did you like the last article? Like, did you really do
Yeah.
things like that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. 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 When one of the best advice you can give to someone creating content is to always ask questions to the community. I mean, even if it's a podcast or YouTube, but I believe it's easier for someone to reply to an email than to go to the content. I mean, to the comment section and write a comment. I mean, and it's public. So yeah, you see what I mean. So yeah, every single mail I'm sending, there is a like, don't hesitate to reply and ask me any questions. I always read emails. Replies, and I always reply. So I push everybody to reply a lot, and it gives you a lot of, insights. Because yeah, open rate is great. Click through rate is great, but there's nothing better than just having like some quality
Yes.
um, replies to your content. So yeah, and people are afraid to send questionnaires or stuff like that, form to know better the community or to understand what they love. But actually, you can send a lot of forms. People, they love to help. So actually, there are a lot of people willing to give their opinion.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be afraid of asking a lot of questions, even like twice a month or every newsletter or whatever. So it's totally okay. And if you don't want to reply to a form, you just don't reply. So it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to. That's true. That's true
Mm-mm.
that a lot of people, they when they are starting building their product, they don't dare to ask for people to do special things like fill a form, give a
Yeah.
feedback, or leave a
Yeah.
comment to that video.
Exactly.
But in fact, like if you just genuinely ask people, some people might do it, and then yeah, it's good feedbacks. That's also one thing is like you are not, I mean, your audience is not based on the reach. Like that's something because since you send the content to only people who subscribe, then it's not an algorithm that pick who is gonna see your audience, but still you need to build that audience. So there are multiple questions on the genesis of like Snowball, which is
Mm-mm.
um how did you get the first subscriber then? Because I guess like the good thing with an algorithm is that you can at least have 100 view or something like 50 or 20 views, and then if people likes they will share, comment, etc., and then you increase your reach. But if
Mm-mm.
you have no reach, so how do you find the first people to be your subscribers?
Good question. I guess when you launch, I mean, you can ask your friends or family, so that's a starting point. But you have to rely on another platform, I believe. So if you take my example, I was more active on LinkedIn at this time. So I used LinkedIn to launch the first, I mean, to build the first layer of the community. So the first 1,000 subscribers. So I believe, yeah, the first 1,000 came from LinkedIn, from a LinkedIn post. And the good thing about LinkedIn is, contrary to Instagram or Facebook or
Any other
other
social?
social platforms, you can have quite a lot of reach, even if you don't have a big community. In 2020, you could do that also with TikTok, but nowadays it's a bit different. It's harder to have a big reach, but on LinkedIn you can still have like hundreds of thousands of views if you write a good post. And at this time, before launching Snowball, uh, I mean, even before creating the Substack account, I wrote like a LinkedIn post saying, "Hey, I'm gonna launch a newsletter about personal finance, and in this newsletter, I'm gonna share how I invested in two trucks to make money." So some stuff like that could like create some kind of curiosity, and I don't know, there was like 1,000 likes and thousands of comments. So at this time I was like, okay, there is a lot of interest about this topic. So that was a way to validate the idea even before launching. And then the second biggest driver of growth was just word of mouth. As you said, there is no algorithm. I mean, it's changing now on Substack because they're becoming more like a social network and less just a newsletter provider. But yeah, in 2020, you had to have word of mouth or to rely on a social platform.
I think it's still the case probably, but word of mouth only come in when you have like a critical mass of
Mm,
viewers or things like that. It's probably the most qualitative inbound for traffic because it's people who literally says, "Oh, you should do that. You should listen to that podcast. You should like read that newsletter. It's super nice." You said something that is interesting that I remember when we were discussing at that time, is that you invested, because that's probably the beginnings of Snowball, is that you invested into trucks at the very beginning of that company called what was the name? Get Around, right? Is
it's
it
it's a
Get Around?
Drivey, and they've been bought by Get Around after.
Yeah, so it was called Drivey in Europe, in
Mm-hmm.
France mainly, and then it was acquired by Get Around, which is a German company, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
Was
I
it?
think it's not American. I don't know.
Ah, probably, yeah, probably. So
I'm
they
not sure.
acquired Drivey, and the idea is like they were having like like free floating kind of cars in a city that you can like
Mm-hmm.
open through an iOS app, mobile apps, and then you'll be able to drive these car mainly for instead of going into a rental company, which is like way more convenient to find a car on the street, and then you can drive it. And then when you're finished, like you post you park the car somewhere on the street, and then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And what you did is like you bought two truck, if I remember properly, that's for the purpose of moving people out of their flats so they can use to move out during a day. And then you started like that, and you started posting content about that, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was. I mean, it was one of the things I was doing at this time about personal finance. I've always been interested about this universe of economics, investing, and how to make money doing side projects and stuff like that. But this one was, I think this one was the one people were most curious about because, I mean, it's not every day that you hear somebody buying two old trucks from a French post office to rent them on Get Around. So yeah, people were really curious about that, and I guess that's why this LinkedIn post worked so well because people are like, okay, you can do that. That's interesting. And also, I was like, yeah, how I invested in Monet painting. So these two things like created a lot of discussion around this launch. Um,
You were eating your own dog food,
yeah,
as some
yeah,
says, like, you try things and then you write post about that.
yeah,
That's super
exactly.
organic, actually. Like,
Yeah, and I mean that's the best. I mean, earlier you were saying that you don't know the topics people are interested about, but I guess the main filter is if you are interested in this topic, you will find like hundreds or thousands of people interested in this topic. So I mean, you don't have to fake it. You have to be genuinely interested in the topic, and if you talk about it, people will come. I mean, if you talk in a, I mean, if you have to, I mean, you don't have to do it extremely well, but you have to
it's consistent.
communicate a good level of information and interesting information that you can't really find anywhere easily. Because today that's, I mean, content is a commodity. I mean, you can find hundreds of blogs about personal finance. So what you're talking about and how you talk about it, I mean, it's pretty important to be differentiated from the others. So
Yeah, because if you experience what you're talking about, then it makes you. That was kind of one of my question is like, you're not from like any financial degrees or whatever, like, so your social like proof kind of is not around finance, is not around all these things. So coming up into that quite technical subject and then decide that you're gonna write a newsletter about it and then become probably the biggest newsletter in France about personal finance is kind of a nice thing. And I guess that a part of the equation is based on the fact that you were trying things that people weren't used to it, like buying tracks and try to like
mhm,
hunt them online. So you see if it's good or not, like if it's break even or not even, and then writing things in a way that no one has ever created this kind of content, which is
mhm,
also in terms of personal finance, a content that like is interesting to a mass majority of people. Because every time
mm,
you talk about finance, then you
mm,
have the impression that finance is something for the elite. not
Mhm.
for everyone. But I guess that the amount of money you invested into these 2 trucks, you mentioned you bought them from post office, meaning that I probably understood that you bought them from auction, right? Like when they were
Yeah, no,
depend on their.
it was not auction. Yeah. It was like somebody specialized in buying a lot of old truck from the French post office and selling them on Le Bon Coin, like Craigslist in France.
List, yeah. So yeah,
So it was
that's
pretty
crazy.
cheap.
So
It
yeah,
was like
you bought them
40,
from.
yeah, 14K, the two of them. So like basically nothing.
Okay, but still, I mean, it's bold, like to spend 14K in shitty cars that you don't even like. You don't like.
And the
Did you
fun,
do like a business plan before or something like that?
no, but the fun thing about it is like, the fun thing
Sorry.
about it is like one day I receive an email from my bank saying, "Hey, we've got like a 0.85 loan offer up until 20K." So I was like, okay, that's basically free money. So what could I do with this money? And I was like, oh yeah, I've got this friend. He's renting his truck on Get Around. So maybe I could just buy like 2 trucks. I mean, borrow the money from the bank and buy 2 trucks. And then and I was like on my Google sheet and doing some like pretty shitty math and trying to do like a quick business plan. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty easy to see that the risk was not very big. I mean, even if one truck breaks down, it's okay. So
And was it
pretty safe bet.
and then was it a good bet?
Yeah, it was a very good bet, especially at this time because there wasn't a lot of people renting um, trucks in Paris. Nowadays, it's more professional, so you can find people with like 20 or 40 trucks. But at the beginning, it was pretty amateur stuff. So yeah, it was, I don't know, like, it was maybe from 500 to 1,000 euros cash flow, something like that. I mean, I mean, it's good money
Yeah.
on the side. Yeah, it was pretty
Do
good.
you still owe them? No.
No, no, no,
When did
no.
you sell them?
I sold them. I don't know. Like I did it for like 2 years. Then I stopped, and then I bought 2 cars, like in 2021 or 2022, something like that. Um, to rent them, like one like a regular small car for weekend trips and stuff like that, and another small truck, and it still worked pretty well. So and I sold them because I didn't have time to take care of them and all this stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty easy side business. So I recommend really.
Interesting. And then, so I guess that are you still trying a lot of things to
Yeah.
fit the newsletter? So it means like your main job is actually to try financial stuff to feed your newsletter.
Well, I guess yeah, there are like three main topics. One is yeah, daily news. So it's a lot of like intelligence, like reading a lot of newsletters, curation, and sending like the best news in my opinion. So that's one topic. The second one is like I guess to teach the basics of money, not only finance. I mean, it could be like the psychology of money or how to take care of your budget or stuff like that. It's not only about investing. And yeah, the third one is in which product can you invest. So it could be like stocks. Like I love to like do some deep dives on this company or this company and to see if it's a good business model and it's a good company to invest in. But it's also products. So yeah, basically, I don't know. Maybe I have like 30 or 40 apps on my iPhone to test financial products. And since 2020, there've been a lot of new entrants in this space. So yeah, I mean, there's always stuff to talk about, and even after 5 years, it's I mean almost 6 years, it's pretty easy to find new topics. So
Yeah, I guess. And then, so one it means that you um do you like what's the thing that you're into right now? Like what's the best thing you've tried for the 3 next week, like, or the last
you mean
month?
for investing?
Yeah, what's the best advice you can give?
The best advice. I mean, I don't give advice, but no, but
That's a point for later.
I guess. I mean, the best advice is just to get started. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you talk to like traditional financial advisor, they will tell you that you should have like a pretty neat strategy, like 60% stocks, 40% bonds, or whatever. Um, but I guess it's important to get started, and it doesn't matter. So if you like crypto, just invest in crypto. It doesn't matter, even if it's like the riskiest asset. If you like to invest in sneakers, just invest in sneakers. If it's Pokemon cards, I mean, you have to start somewhere, and then when you get used to investing, you will just diversify naturally into different assets. So I guess that's best advice. And if you don't care about anything, just open a trading account and invest in a MSCI World ETF or something very easy. You put an autopilot and you don't check anything. So yeah, I guess
Okay.
that's the easiest thing to do.
You said that you don't give any advices, but I guess that your activity still require regulation to be okay with what you're doing, because in a way you're like pushing things info to individuals. And how do you handle that regulatory needs? Like, I know that in the US it's like SEC, but in France we do have AMF, which is basically the same thing.
Mm-mm.
Every country has their own. So I guess AMF got interested into Snowball pretty quickly, or maybe you join them upfront, or you don't have to.
Well,
But
actually, you don't have to. I mean, that's why there are so many influencers on social networks just talking about stocks or cryptos or whatever. Um, I mean, unless it's very like you're promoting some scams and you are like a very big influencers, there are some risks. But if you're talking about Apple and why it's a good stock, if you say that it's not a financial advice, it's okay. So you can do it. You have to be careful, of course. But like, I don't know, like maybe 2 years, yeah, about 2 years after launching Snowball, I decided to get the CIF, so it's a conseiller en investissement financier. So it's the
advisor,
stuff you've got to be a financial advisor, and I can give financial advice today, but not in a newsletter. You have to know the person. You have to get some KYC. It's not because I have this stamp that I can give like a personal advice in the newsletter. So it has to be like generic information or personal views or stuff like that, or very like educational content. But you can't give a personal advice in a 70K newsletter.
no. Mm. And then that's an angle that is quite interesting. Is like we've seen a lot of scams out there,
Mm-mm.
and um, I guess it is something you have seen too. And then how do you stay out of that? How do you navigate your reputation in this market while some people are kind of pushing, breaking with like shitty crypto scam or stuff like that? Like what's your thought about that?
Well, it's not easy. Like for instance, like I don't know, 2 weeks, something like that, before FTX crashed. I was in a call with the marketing team of FTX because I wanted to sponsor Snowball, and FTX was pretty legit at the moment. So nobody were. I mean, some people were aware of what was going on, but still, not me. So, and I promoted some, like, not promoted, but I talked about products that just went bankrupt, like BlockFi is an example. And I guess the only thing you can do is just to be transparent about it. I mean, you just say like, yeah, don't. I mean, I will probably say some stuff that are not like good for you, or that can be risky or whatever. So don't take anything for granted. Do your own research, stuff like that. And then you have to admit when you do a mistake that you just did a mistake, and it's okay. I mean, nobody can be perfect. So yeah, transparency is a good way to create trust, and people will be pretty okay if you do a mistake. If you just say, okay, I made a mistake, but you see, that's why you have to diversify, and that's why you have to
Yeah.
don't listen to everybody. So
Normally, people who invest knows that they can't win at all every time. Like
yeah,
there are moments when you don't win. Most of
yeah,
them, basically, you don't win. So I guess.
yeah. But since there are a lot of beginners in the community, every time I am very, very, very clear, like, yeah, be careful. This stuff is probably risky. It's better to invest in a very boring strategy, ETF and stuff like that. So you have to remind people all the time, all the time, all the time that there are a lot of risks.
That's probably one hint that is become like when you get into a conversation with someone who wants you to invest into, like, who give you advice, is
Mm,
that normally if they promise some great returns and stuff like that, it's a good hint that it's probably something shitty.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
normally when you talk about, like, Yoann, transparency, it comes with the warnings, like obvious warnings saying, "Don't be careful with that. I'm going, but it's very risky."
Mm-mm.
Uh, yeah, that's probably a good hint that something is not smelling that good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, yeah, scams are everywhere, and even in the biggest companies. So that's pretty hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there is something is like talking about finance. You did a fundraise among your own community, if I remember properly. And what was the, like? Because one thing with that kind of newsletter, so for it to succeed in a long term, it needs to be independent. And when you talk about funding, then independence is a big question, because if, like, some people invest into your um, newsletter, then they will probably ask you to write this kind of content or kind of
Mm.
pressurize you or whatever. I'm not saying it's going to be the case, but maybe we can expect that to happen. So
Mm-mm.
the question is, you did a fundraise, you choose to fundraise among your own community. Why was it the case? Was it the reason, like the independence, or is there any other reason?
Um, I guess the main reason is uh, was just not to be bothered by investors. I didn't want to have a board and to, yeah. So that was the main reason. The second one was, yeah, the community was quite big and engaged. And I saw other companies doing fundraise with their own community, like Revolut in the beginning, and other. It's quite big in the UK, bigger than in France. And I was like, okay, I know this company that you know too, Fairmint. which is a startup I was following for quite a while, and they help entrepreneurs to raise money with a tool on the blockchain or whatever. I mean, it's not it's not crypto. It's just the backend which is on the blockchain, but you still invest in a regular safe. So yeah, we're not gonna go into the details, but it's options to buy a stock at a certain price in the future. So it's a very like regulated, and it's a traditional finance. It's just the backend that is blockchain based. So yeah, I was like, yeah, this company is doing this. I could use their tool to raise money on my own. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's try it. So I asked the community, like in a form, like if tomorrow I open the capital of Snowball, would you be willing to invest? And if so, which amount? And I was like 2 weeks later, there was like, yeah, 3 million euros of commitment. I mean, soft commitment, of course. And I was like, okay, that's quite big. And like, yeah, a month later, I launched the fundraise with Fairmint, and we raised, I mean, I raised because I was on my own at this time, like $1.6 million. Because yeah, it was in dollars since Fairmint only works in the US. So I had to create a company in the US, which is yeah, whatever the financial stuff, but there are a French company and a US company. So yeah, it was pretty easy to start a US company with a Stripe, Atlas. In 3 clicks, you open a company in the US, and with Fairmint, it was like, yeah, super easy to fundraise. So yeah, I mean, I guess that was the right choice. But once again, you know, when I opened the capital, I was like, yeah, that's extremely risky. Like basically, you are almost 90% sure of losing your money, so be aware of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Because you become the advisor in your own
yeah,
investment.
that's so yeah, that's pretty touchy. So I was like, yeah, the probability of failure is pretty high. So you have to be aware, and there was like warnings everywhere in the memo. So, but still, people invested because I guess they liked the project, and yeah, they trusted me, I guess. And everything was really transparent, so it helps.
No, you're not. Do you leave? Like one thing is like, is Snowball break even, or
No,
you
no,
leave?
not yet. Not yet. I guess we should be break even like next year, if everything goes well, because today we are 6 employees, including me. Mainly tech and design. I mean, tech product design. Because yeah, the media is one thing, but we want to build like more like fintech products in the future. So that's why I raise money, and because I mean, I love to write content, but I love like financial products and to go further than just education. So yeah, like we're working on new projects, which will launch in the upcoming weeks. So yeah, yeah, because like I mean, the main problem right now with Snowball is like it's a lot of content, and when you're a beginner, you're kind of lost in this sea of hundreds of articles. So the main pain for our members is, okay, what should I do now with this? I mean, and they want a strategy, and they want something to guide them in this universe. So that's the main. I mean, the first product we're going to build is, okay, based on your profile and your risk profile. Okay, here is a list of products you could invest in. We know them because we invest in most of them personally. So, and so that will be the first brick, and then we're gonna add some stuff like budgeting or like tracking your your investments or stuff like that, and tomorrow maybe like invest directly through Snowball, which is like the climax of the stuff we want to build. So yeah,
Yeah, I was about to ask you that about the future and like what's the so future for Snowball is moving out, not out, but moving from the content only to content plus having a SaaS on the side or something to help people to make decision
exactly.
about.
Usually
And
it's yeah. I was about to say because it's. I mean, for when you build a product, it's usually the other way around. You build the product and then you start a media or you buy a media. I mean, we've seen like Robinhood in the US buying a big newsletter, and now the newsletter is a big media. And it's yeah, usually it's the other way around. But I mean, it's hard to go from a media to a product, sure. But having a community is like a huge asset because you can, from day one, you can ask a lot of feedback and stuff like that. So if tomorrow I start a new company, I would start with the media first and then the product for sure. Whatever the topic is. I mean, video games or investing or real estate, whatever. I think it's a good strategy to start with the media and build a community first.
yeah, it's like community. That's something because at Nocturne we've been talking to a lot of indie studios in the gaming, and then
Mm.
the strategy, like the public strategy that works the best, is probably always to start by having a community around, like a trailer or some tech details and stuff, and then you build with them. But it's easier said than done, to be
Yeah, of
honest.
course. Yeah, I
And
agree.
then that's one thing is like the beginnings are frightening, like when you start creating content, because in the story that you tells, we have the impression that you kind of uh, launched a snowball by mistakes. Like you
Mm,
were posting on LinkedIn, and then you got traction out of your post, and then you thought like, oh, I should probably do a newsletter or something.
mm,
So there were no moments where you were, because when I was preparing that episode, I wanted to ask you a question about that time when you start, but no one's here. Like
mm,
like, because most of the people, including myself, if I have like the willing to create a newsletter, I will go into Substack. I will fill all the details and say, okay, what's going to be my first post? I will probably pass, like 2 or 3,
yeah,
4 days, like you tuning everything, choosing a pictures or a logo and everything. And then I
mm,
will write the first post and then nothing,
yeah,
nothing
uh,
happened. So you never actually experienced that, did you?
not exactly. Um, I mean, I experienced that on LinkedIn, for instance. Like my first posts, nobody would read them. So it's a bit similar, but it's not exactly the same. So yeah, I was very lucky for sure with Snowball. I mean, it was a perfect timing. It was like the beginning of Substack before like everybody is launching a newsletter like nowadays. It was like before the first lockdown in France, before the market crashed and then go like to the roof. Before like people having a lot of time and money to invest. So it was very like the best possible timing in the world for this newsletter. But yeah, it was a mistake, as you said. I mean, it was just plain luck. But yeah, I mean, if you start, I mean, yeah, of course you have to start somewhere, and the first month, I mean, even maybe the first years could be hard I mean, especially in the media sector. Um, but yeah, I mean, the best thing to do is just to try a lot of different kind of content. But it's not easy. I mean, in the beginning, you can't really ask your friends because they're gonna tell you, yeah, it's good, it's great. It's not like very authentic feedback. Yeah, there are no great advice here. I mean, you just have
I
to,
think starting as you do on the socials and try to post often, like,
yeah,
I mean,
that's
there is no downside as posting on the socials, and then people, what, they don't read what you're posting anymore. I
yeah,
mean, it's
doesn't
not a
really
bad
matter.
thing. Yeah, so that's the great thing is like posting, trying content, and then when you have traction on your post, then maybe you continue, and then you get better and better.
Yeah,
That's like, but
yeah.
what? Yeah.
No, I was about to say like the social posts. It's like the MVP of your media. If you want to make a comparison, it's like really easy to try, low risk, low efforts. You don't have to like record 1 hour of video or whatever. You can just like record a selfie video and talk, and you see what will people say. But yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And then, like, if we want to conclude with, like, I like to ask that question to guests is, what would you give as an advice to people who start now?
You mean
If
like
if they
writing
can,
content? I mean,
sorry,
like about creating content or whatever.
whatever.
Whatever. That's the one I said a bit earlier. Like start with the media, and I mean, you don't have to start with the media. I mean, if you're building a product, I mean, could be at the same time. Like, but start from the very beginning because, as you said, it's pretty hard. The earlier you start, the easier it gets with time. I mean, and it's like finance, it's like compound interest. And you may have like 10 subscribers day one, but 20 at the end of the month, and then 25, and then 50, and then the wheel is rolling. Mm. So yeah, start early. Also, as I said, you have to write about something you really and deeply like, because if you're trying to be like a bit corporate, you know, on LinkedIn and doing some marketing stuff about your SaaS or whatever, I mean, it's people will feel it. And but if you talk about, I don't know, let's say you're like a backend developer and you're launching a SaaS, and if you talk about how you just build the backend of your product and details, well, maybe the people interested in this will be other developers, but it doesn't really matter. Maybe they will like your product. And so, yeah, start with something you really like to talk about, and start from there, and you'll see where it goes.
Cool. That is cool.
Mm-mm.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, it
That
was really
too.
great. Thank you.
That's cool. And so, as I often say, I try to record an interview like that every week. So every week I have new interviews that I post into that podcast.
Mm-mm.
And every time that I record an interview, I try to keep the whole interview without cutting any part of it. It's a
Mm-mm.
bit sketchy. I'm also personally becoming better and better while I record the. I mean, in my own opinion. So it doesn't.
Ah, it was good.
Thank you. So I'm trying to be better and better, and then hopefully there is that grinding things that comes out of that podcast maker stories. But we had plenty of info into that episode. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy for. I'm glad that you accepted to spend a year. I was about to say an hour with us.
Yeah, now
Yeah, thank you very much. Hope
you're
you're
welcome.
gonna have a good success in that SaaS for Snowball. Guys, see you next week for the next episode, probably. Thank you.